Why invest in property? Wow, what a question that is. Why? Obviously, this one, we invest in property. But I mean, there's so many reasons why lots of the wealthiest people in the world have invested in property and have substantial portfolios. So obviously this little small little video now will just give you a little bit of an idea of why our company, why we invest in property. But again, it's mainly to help any budding property investors now at the moment that are thinking, should I get into property? Is it a little bit risky? I don't know if there's going to be a crash soon. What happens if this? What happens if I can't get a tenant in? What happens if it doesn't sell? And all of the other negative self-talk that we're all familiar with, definitely. So hopefully it will provide you with a little bit of guidance, really. And again, if at the end of it you think, property is not for you, for me, that's fine. At least you've made a little bit more of an informed decision. So my name's Dervish. I've been in business now since 2004, built up profitable, successful, but more importantly, cash flowing and profitable businesses. So hopefully you'll find a little bit of value with this video, and it should help you, obviously, like I said, determine whether or not investing in property is for you or not. So let's get started. So for us, why we invest in property, number one, I probably need to get a little bit of a thicker marker here, is for cash flow. Definitely. Now, there's lots of different property strategies out there, depending on if you've seen any of my other videos or if you've looked at any other property education courses or anything like that. There's many ways to invest in property. It's not just the old classic one, I'm going to buy a house, put a tenant in it, and then I get rent every month. However, a big part of our folio is that model, the single let buy to let model, really. Set and forget, really, or set and forget 99% of the time. It provides cash flow. Now, with that, you might think, well, where does the cash flow come from? I haven't got 100 grand, 150 grand to just buy a property outright. So, basic maths is really you're going to purchase a property. Again, I'm going to talk really basically. I'm not going to go into creative strategies or anything like that. The property's worth 100,000. You've obviously put in 25,000 yourself, that 25% deposit, or you and a partner, or you might have borrowed it or something. Whatever the monthly payment is for that, let's just call it the loan, the mortgage, minus the rent, or should I say the rent minus the loan and insurance, that would be your cash flow. So for argument's sake now, really loose maths, the rent that we take for one property is 750 per calendar month. Our mortgage is 500 per calendar month. That leaves 250 each month cash flow. And then out of that, obviously, you're going to take out your insurance and so on. Now, I'm not going to go too deep and say, 10% should be void and everything like that. That was just a simple reason, where does a cash flow come from, really? And that's generally it when you're looking at the single lets and so on. The other part for us, really, is wealth and capital appreciation. Now, if you're one of my mentees, you've heard me say this lots of times before. We started investing in property in 2007, and the first one to two properties, definitely the first one, didn't negotiate on the price, didn't do any due diligence research. We just thought, went to see it, got excited, and then thought, right, we can buy this, and then that was it. So looking back, obviously, very amateuristic. However, action equals results. We ended up, going into property from that, and not knowing much about it, but at the time we were learning as we were going on, and again we're still learning now, really. But really, just a little one there, we purchased that property for 60,000. Like I said, didn't do any negotiation, overpaid, but it's now worth over 120, that one, maybe even more now, because we had it valued about 18 months ago. So that was, in a 14-15 year period, it had doubled. Now just imagine if you put that same 60,000 into a bank, there's no way that you would have got 120,000 back, as well as the monthly cash flow and so on. So the wealth and the capital appreciation is a big part of it for us. With the single lets, we understand it's a long-term game, really. And that's what we're looking for all the time, for our properties to go up in value. Now, anybody that knows, obviously, the property cycle and so on, we all know that at some point there's going to be a crash/correction. Property prices start to drop down again, but after that, they then start to increase past the value pre-crash. So we're going to have a look a little bit more into that. Maybe have a look at now on this YouTube channel as well about the property cycle and so on. But those are the two main reasons why we invest in property. If that's something that you think you'd like that in your life, in addition to your business, in addition to your career, then obviously still keep listening. But this is the main one for us, really. Hopefully you can make it out there. Return on capital employed. So if you're watching any other videos or reading books and so on, articles, they'll often refer to gross return on capital employed. Now I've done two very, very basic, simplistic examples here, so we've got a bit of an idea of what, you know, return on capital employed means. So from this then, really, example number one here, £25,000. Again, we're just going back to that £100,000 house. So I'll put it there, 100k. Please forgive my handwriting. I'll draw the best house ever, as always. 100,000 house. We put £25,000 into it for the deposit, and just say, for instance, again for easy maths, it's going to generate £250 cash flow each and every month. So 250 times 12 months, with that now is £3,000. I'm going to put that there per annum, which means obviously per year there. So without any voids, without any, you know, maintenance issues, we're going to hopefully generate £3,000 per year from our £25,000 investment. So with that then, the return on capital employed will be the amount of your cash flow divided by the amount of however much money you put in. And in this instance, it turns out our return on capital employed is 12%. Now, some people might think, wow, that's amazing. Other people might think, yeah, not that much. For us, really, we wouldn't be looking at anything really with a return on capital employed at first at less than 15%. So if somebody presented that deal to us, or when we're going out, you know, viewing properties and so on, if that was a basic maths, we wouldn't really be interested in that unless there was something else within the property grounds, within the fact that we could see something that maybe the estate agent couldn't see and so on like that. Now, the good thing is though, especially if you do the BRR strategy, you know, the buy, refurbish, refinance, rent out strategy and so on, and then repeat, you could have that same property, but pretty much near enough double the return on capital employed if you pulled out some of your money. So that's why a lot of people love, again, trying to do a little bit of research into this. We've definitely got a video on our YouTube channel about it. Try and have a look into that strategy. B double R, B triple R, sometimes even the B quadruple R. Buy, refurbish, refinance, rent, and then if you've got the other R there as well, it just means repeat, which is then when you go back to this one, momentum investing really. So going back to this example, sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit here, and hopefully it's quite easy for you to follow. So that first example, we had a return on capital employed of 12%, but we could pretty much double that really if we managed to pull just £10,000 of our money back out, if we've done enough of a refurbishment there, if we've added value. Now, if we're just going to buy a turnkey property, which is pretty much somebody refurbished it before us, it's all good to go, doesn't need anything, then it's very, very unlikely that you'll be able to refinance it to pull out money unless you've got an amazing deal at the front end. So with that same example then, it could be the return on capital employed could be, I'll lift that up a little bit there, apologies about that. The return on capital employed could be 20%. Let's get that up there so it's a little bit better. Okay, the return on capital employed, going back to my lecturing days here now, when I was a lad. So that's same as above, but if we're getting £10,000 back out, it's still 250 per calendar month times 12. So that's 3,000 is the same as that 3,000. But instead of our initial investment of 25, the investment is now 15 because we've had 10,000 back out, and the return on capital employed is 20% there. So again, like most of these videos on here, I don't want them to be super highbrow and going into the granular type of level. I try and save that for some of my obviously high performing mentees, but hopefully it's giving you a little bit of an idea of why people invest in property, why we invest in property, and some of the percentage that you can look to achieve. Now, it's fantastic when you do the BRRR strategy and you pull all your money out, or you pull all your money out plus more, because that means you've got no money in the deal and it's generating your cash flow each and every month, which is fantastic. So that's brilliant, really. So hopefully that's helped some people. Return on capital employed. We invest, and lots of our investors, lots of our mentees invest for cash flow, plus also helps them in that wealth/capital appreciation. But good luck, keep taking steps forward. And just like I tell my mentees, keep working on this mindset, keep improving your business knowledge, keep applying it as well, and keep building on that wealth. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. We do put videos out on business, mindset, wealth. definitely property and property investing. Good luck, everybody. All the best.